Welcome, team. Welcome to those of you on Instagram, those on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Welcome for our Tuesday night. Just had to remind myself it was Tuesday night. Tonight we're going to discuss foods that cause belly fat and should you avoid these. Going to give you a lowdown on the truth around it and whether you should avoid them or not. I have got funky hair going on again. I was at the gym. I was just in my Summer Slim challenge group, ranting about the gym bros, the ones that slam the weights because they can't control the weights. They're too heavy for them, and nor can they control their egos. Truths, nothing but truths. All right, I just need to sort out this connection because I forgot to do that beforehand because it won't let Instagram join otherwise. Just reconnecting. So yes, I was on a bit of a rant in my Summer Slim Challenge group about the whole gym bros who slam the weights continuously because they're getting the reps in. But for me, that's just a pure sign that the weight's too heavy. You don't need to slam them. You should be able to control the weights. So yes, slamming the weights down. It's a lack of control. The weights are too heavy and they can't control their egos. So yeah, that's my rant over. All right, because I already ranted to a load of people about that. So tonight I'm going to talk about foods that cause belly fat and should you avoid them. So if you see my post earlier, I covered off some of these foods. I mean, first up, the thing with these foods is it is about volume, how much of them you are having. So like anything, if we eat more of it, then it's going to add to the belly fat. And there's some obvious culprits, but I think there's things that kind of creep into our diet where we use them as treats or we say we deserve these things. And before we know it, we end up having them more than we realize. So I'm talking about things like the cake, the donuts and so forth. So let's break it down. So fizzy drinks, like sodas that you get, the sugary drinks, like it's okay to have one a week, something like that, one or two, if that's your thing, if that's your pick me up. But obviously, if it creeps in and starts becoming every day, then it's a different story. For me personally, I know because I had Coke at the weekend because I was away, I was out for a meal, and there actually wasn't many mocktails. There was two mocktails. One I couldn't have because it was apple and orange juice, and the other one we had was raspberry and something. And oh my god, it was super sweet. So I ended up reverting to can of Cokes. £3.50 for a can of Coke. So I ended up having Coke as something different to drink. And so as a result, I know I've got to wean myself off that. So I'm having more than I would do normally. So things like that are going to add to my belly fat because it's obviously full of sugar. I think it's about 7.5 teaspoons of sugar in a can of Coke. However, something like an innocent smoothie has 14.5 teaspoons of sugar. So you can see actually an innocent smoothie's got more sugar than a can of Coke, and that's because of the processing in it and how they condense to make it highly fructose. So things like your sweeteners, your soft drinks, or your sweetened coffees. So if you're having coffees with the sugar syrups, or you're just adding sugar to your coffee, adding sugar to your tea, the energy drinks as well, with all the different added sugars they've got too, and they're all empty calories that are ultimately leading to increased belly fat. Should you avoid them? As I was just saying, it's up to you. I think the things you can have every now and then, but if you're having them on a frequent basis, on a daily basis, then it is going to add to the belly fat, let's be honest. And then alcohol is another one. Alcohol is something where for females in perimenopause, menopause, it really doesn't work for our female health. On so many levels, it doesn't work for our health, but yet we still have it because we don't want to be that person who's like, oh, I'm not having a drink, or we associate it with fun. I had this conversation with a client very recently about the association with alcohol and fun, yet they quite enjoy a zero alcohol beer. Now, don't get me wrong, that is full of sugar, but obviously it's better than having alcohol. And it's a case of like, what is it, your connection with alcohol? Like, what is it that drives that connection? Because if you're still having a good time and having fun when you have the zero, it kind of proves that actually you're a fun person without the alcohol. So it's making that choice for your health. For me, it's not that I'm a zero drinker. I just based on my energy and how I want to feel the next day, informs my decision around alcoholic drink. And obviously, it adds to weight gain. And I know myself being perimenopause, going through the stage, how my energy is at certain times of the month, going through these hormonal fluctuations, this new second puberty. I think, wow, if I added alcohol into the mix, I hate to imagine how I'd feel. So that's my own personal choice. And obviously, people talk about the beer belly. So it's well known that alcohol, especially beer, will add to it. And then if you're having mixers, I know people opt for the zero sugar mixers, but ultimately alcohol is highly calorific. It's more calorific than any of the other foods or drinks that you have. And then you combine that with any soft drinks. You combine that in a cocktail with different fruit juices, whatever you've got going on there, then it's going to add to weight gain around your belly, around your midsection. And what comes hand in hand with alcohol? Crisps, my favorite, crisps. And then obviously things like crackers and cookies and biscuits and these things that slip into our diet because we're having a tea in the afternoon, we have a bit of energy low, so we'll have a couple of biscuits. And then before we know it, it's another couple. And then before dinner, we're having a couple. And the packets disappeared. What the hell happened to it? And crisps is another one because crisps is like flavor enhancers. You know, I talk about Pringles a lot in terms of once you pop, you can't stop. No one really wants a Pringle, but before you know it, you've eaten a whole blooming tub. What was that all about? So things really about snacks. And like say, I am a snacker, especially if I'm having an alcoholic drink. I will snack till the cows come home. Like literally, that is my thing. Alcohol, snack. Alcohol, snack. I can't drink and not eat. That's what's I'm trying to get the right way around. So I'm always like being a muncher whilst I'm being drinking. And then that for me is obviously an overload of calories. And that was one of the behaviors and habits I had when I was my biggest at size 18 plus. Does that mean I'm never gonna have crisps? No, I still have crisps, but I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing in terms of making that informed choice to have the crisps. And I know that's gonna mean I'm having extra calories, salt, sugar, but I kind of go, it's okay because I'm not having the cake. It's okay because I'm not having the alcohol. Now that doesn't mean I want to be having the crisps every day. It's a habit that again will creep in, and I just have to watch that one because again with the crisps comes the sugar, the salt, the fats, and if we're talking about overall health as well as belly fat, then an indicator of health around your organs, your heart health full of salt, it's not great. So ultimately it's about making that choice. And then we move on to things like white bread, white rice, pastries. Me personally, I've not had white bread forever because I just see how cheap it is and the dough and it's not good. I don't have a gluten intolerance, but I know I feel like crap when I've had this stuff. Same with like naan breads and stuff now. I just can't have them. Certain pizzas from big retailers or big pizza companies, I can't have. And absolutely kills my belly. But like I say, I'm not gluten intolerant or anything like that. I think there's something in the processing where they maybe speed it up and don't develop the yeast. That's a sign that it doesn't work for my body. So I think with all these things, it's really key to tune into your energy and go, does this work for my body? So I want that thing, I'll have it. If I'm going to feel like crap afterwards, then do I make that commitment to not have that thing because I don't want to feel that way, or go, okay, I'm going to have that thing, but then realize that you're going to feel a bit rubbish, belly's going to be bloated, maybe a bit of discomfort, a bit of pain, you're not going to sleep as well. But just think about those choices you're making and the impact that has on your quality of life. But yeah, for me, white bread is something I don't have. White rice I do have occasionally, but again, I'm not a big rice drinker. Pastries, I love a pastry. Like I do have to resist a pastry if they're there. I'm like, oh, pastries, so good. It's a mixture of the custard, the jam, but again, I know I'm not going to feel good after them. I've been to so many business networking events where it's a plate of pastries, always pastries with the coffee on the table, and I totally resist because I know very quickly, like within half an hour, I'll feel like crap and want to fall asleep and be in a coma. And I think we know, right? We know all these things aren't the best for us. There's times we want it, which is fine, but when you're overindulging, and you know when you're overindulging in it and you're binge eating these things, it's not going to help you on your health fitness journey. It's not been about being miserable. Having to eat healthy should be miserable. You should enjoy your food, but it's actually about not making yourself miserable because you're binging on the stuff you know is causing you your issue. That is self-sabotage at the core. That is like abusing your body when you're eating something that you know is going to pain you, it's going to hurt you, or give you heartburn. So if you're really struggling with that, then please speak to a therapist, because if you can't stop yourself doing that to your body, then there comes a time that you need to go and have a longer conversation about what's the pain I'm trying to remove in my life. Why am I trying to dampen down that pain? Why am I eating my emotions? And go and speak to a therapist about it, please. Okay, other things is full fat cheese, butter, and cream. Now, I will say with these things again, read the ingredients. Highly processed food comes into quite a lot of these. So for me personally, I would opt for full fat butter. I would opt for full fat cheese and cream because of the other stuff they put in them. But again, it's about not having them all day. So if you get in the habit of having a really creamy coffee, you're going to add to the belly fat, you're going to add to the coffee. Butter, again, is about measuring your portion. So your fats, think about a thumb. A thumb is like a portion. And the same with cheese. Think of, like, for all your fatty things, think about a thumb as being a portion, okay? So that is the rule of thumb for full fat stuff. So again, if you're someone who has butter on their bread, butter on the rolls. If you're having soup, you put butter on the roll to dip it in. You have butter on your sandwiches, and then you have a cheese sandwich, butter and cream in your coffee. It's going to add up. It makes sense. But yeah, personally, I just prefer not to have the ultra processed stuff. But again, it's your choice. And how many people say, "Oh my God, Julie, I love cheese." And cheese, if you grate it, I guarantee you'll eat more than you realize. Grating cheese is like some magic thing where you grate cheese and suddenly you've eaten a whole block of it, which you'd not normally do if you cut up in cubes. Although you might be a total cheese fanatic and be like, "Oh yeah, I would." But yeah, the different ways that you eat it. Okay, and then if we look at things like I mentioned, pastries, the cakes, the cookie, the donuts, Krispy Kreme has engineered their ring donut. And so that's got the perfect content of salt, fat, and sugar. So you really crave it and you can want more and more of it. So it switches that on in your body so you can have more and more of it rather than that, "Oh, it's too sweet, I feel awful," that you'll desire more and more of it. So all these things are engineered. So because they're low quality foods, when you have one, it like switches on in your body to have another, eat more. There's a reason they come in pack of 5, yeah? That pack of 5 cookies, how long is that going to last you? Yeah, it's going to be there. It's going to be on your mind and you're going to eat them until you're gone. So all these things are kind of, packed with sugars, unhealthy fat. They're going to basically promote your belly fat growth, shall we call it. So ultimately, what can you do about it? Reduce your intake of these foods, replace them with the healthier options. You know the stuff, whole fruits, veg, lean protein, so you're not craving these things in the first place. Don't go shopping when you're hungry. It's so true. I know my choices are horrendous if I go shopping when I'm hungry. Like crisp, Coke, straight up, sweets, chew sweets. Like if I'm hungry, I will go for those things. Okay, and all those things are going to be detrimental to my health, to my weight, to how I feel, my energy, my mental capacity. I'm going to be like just sitting on the sofa, munching out and feeling fatigued and tired and not want to move my body. And know that it's going to be harder when I move my body. So by reducing the intake of these foods, with healthier options, you'll feel better mentally and physically, and it'll help manage the belly fat too. And like I say, it's not about saying don't have these things. It's just saying be aware of when you are having them and when they creep back into your diet. Okay, team, thank you for joining me. Coach Julie here. As I say, I was someone who's fat and I was healthy. So I know the journey you're on. I know what it's like. It is a constant minefield out there to negotiate, but you can do it. When you put your health and your energy first and how you want to feel first, then it can be done and you can still enjoy food. You can still have the crisps, you can still have the donuts. It's just we're not having them all the time because we know we deserve better energy. We know we deserve better health and strength and power and all those good things. And the donut's going to make us feel crap when it's sitting on the sofa and feel rubbish about ourselves. So it is a choice around energy. And if you genuinely struggle to make that choice and you can't help yourself and you feel like it's almost verging on food addiction, then please go speak to a therapist. All right, team, thanks for joining me. Take care, and I shall catch you guys tomorrow night.